They lose. They're 1-2. They're behind the eight ball. They're climbing uphill. All right, and the rest of the schedule is not friendly. So
Yeah.
they're climbing up. You win. You lead the division. You are leading the AFC West for the first time since when? Since
Yeah.
2015? I mean,
Yeah.
how long has it been? It's been 10 years since the Denver Broncos have led the AFC West. They have a chance to lead the division for the first time in a decade.
Yeah.
That's a huge gain if they can get that done this weekend.
Hello, and thank you for joining us here on Broncos and Bourbon. I am your host, Phil Milani. Very special episode today as one of the best in the business, in my opinion, a mentor for me. Vic Lombardi from Altitude Sports is joining us this week. We get into all kinds of different things, talked a lot about the Broncos and why this is a huge matchup for this team, for them to be able to accomplish the goals they want to this year. We talked a little bit about Bo Nix, talked a little bit about the coaching matchup, Sean Payton and Jim Harbaugh. And then we got into a lot more. I think that maybe if you don't know that much about Vic, you'll learn a lot during the course of this episode. We talked about his media career, him switching from CBS 4 Colorado, the CBS station here in Denver, going over to Altitude Sports and covering Nuggets and Abs there. Also does a lot still with the Broncos, of course. So we talked about his media career and why he's been able to have so much success. And then also talked about his health a little bit here. A couple of weeks ago, put out a post saying that he was going up north. He's at the Mayo Clinic here, and he's getting treatment for prostate cancer, something that he was first diagnosed with 6 years ago, he said. So we talk about that and why it's important for everyone to go out and get checked, especially as you approach the age of 40. So there are some links in the description here if you're interested in finding out a little bit more about prostate cancer, what the screening process is like, and just some more information. It might be good for you to find out there. So please do check that out and make sure that you're educated here, and it could help save your life. So we talked about that too with Vic here. So this was a really special episode. I interned for Vic in 2007 when I was just a young guy at CU. I was 21 years old, a junior at CU, and I interned for him. And, he was just someone that I instantly identified with as somebody who I was like, I want to kind of be like him, if I can. I'd like to just spend some time getting to know him and being around him and seeing how he works. So I'll have some stories about my internship on the other side here. So if you enjoy this conversation, please like and subscribe as we continue to grow the channel. But with that, here's my conversation with Vic Lombardi of Altitude Sports. Vic, thank you so much for taking some time to join the program. It really means so much to me. You're a mentor to me, somebody I really look up to in this business and just in general. And, before we started recording, I was thinking how long ago it was I interned at CBS 4. It was 18 years ago, Vic.
That's crazy. 18 years, a lifetime ago. 18 years. How old were you when you were an intern?
Yeah.
21, 20? What? How old were you?
Yeah, 20 years old. Yeah. Yeah.
That's insanity. Phil, good for you. I mean, just to survive that long. I mean, this business eats its own, and I've had so many people come through and become, different jobs in different places. They were all former interns, and I have no idea when they were interns. Time is a vacuum. So that's awesome. You were one of my favorites, man. You know the business, you've known the business, and it's been fun to watch your career.
Oh, well, I appreciate it, Vic. I think that so many young journalists who grew up in this market really look up to you. You mean so much to so many people. And, just sports fans in general, I think that who grew up in this city, they look to you as sort of like they want to know what you think about things. You sort of speak for this city in a way. And, you just mean so much to so many people. So I don't want to embarrass you.
That's kind of
I don't want to
say,
embarrass
but you know what? I feel the same way about a lot of those who came before me. And, I was watching a podcast the other day with Tom Green, Ron Zappolo, Woody Page, and I felt the same way growing up with them in town. So it's good to hear that generations pass this stuff on. It's awesome. Thank you.
Most definitely. And, to start, I think so many people are, wondering about how you're doing with your health. I know you posted a couple weeks ago that you were going to be heading up north. How are you doing and how are you holding up?
Thanks for asking, Phil. I'm at the Mayo Clinic. I'm finishing up a couple weeks of radiation here. I was diagnosed, for those that may not remember, I was diagnosed with prostate cancer about 6 years ago. And, I keep myself in good shape. I never considered being sick. I never had any symptoms, nothing. It just sort of happened. And they told me that reoccurrence would likely occur because I had an aggressive brand of prostate cancer. And so, here we are 6 years later. It came back and it crept into my bladder area. So I opted to come up to Mayo Clinic for 2 weeks of hardcore targeted radiation, where I wake up every day and it's like Groundhog Day. I go over to the hospital, I lay in that tube, and they hammer me with those lasers, and hopefully it'll kill it. And it's not bad. The treatment's not bad. I just feel fatigued, and there's some other issues that have arisen, but nothing that I can't handle. It's just more frustrating and irritating to have to deal with it. I'm not gonna lie to you. When you have cancer, some people always look at that day when they're in remission, but I'm at that point in my life where I know I'm gonna live with cancer for the rest of my life, and you're just gonna have to deal with it. And it's believe it or not made me a better human being because had I not been contracted, had I not been introduced to this disease, I wouldn't be the same person, like it or not.
Wow, wow, that's tremendous perspective there, Vic. Thank you for sharing that. I
Hmm.
think that being open about it and talking about it, if it just helps, one person out there, think twice about it. I think that means a lot. And then, of course, September is a prostate cancer awareness month, right?
Yeah, it is. And listen, the beautiful thing about nothing beautiful about it, I guess good, the silver lining in getting prostate cancer is that you can trace it, you can track it, you can follow it. You know exactly where it is, when it is. Well, you don't know where it is. They had to find mine, but you had to you have a PSA score that tells you how bad it is. There are so many cancers out there where you can't track it, and it sneaks up on you, and the next thing you know, you're dead. So
Yeah.
with prostate cancer, 1 out of 8 men, if you're a man watching this and you're nearing the age of 50, you're over the age of 40. I just talked to my doctor about this yesterday. I said, what about mine that was so different? Because he said when he went and they lasered the stuff near my bladder, he said, man, yours is rare because very rarely does it hide out there. And I go, what makes mine different? He goes, well, you were very young when you got yours. I was 49. And he
Mm.
says they are seeing prostate cancer in more young people. It is now an epidemic. It's beyond just like rare. People in their 40s, guys in their 40s, some even in their 30s, from what used to be an old man's disease. It was always labeled, oh, you're going to get prostate cancer, old man. It's not an old man's disease anymore. Younger men are getting this. I don't know what it is in our society that's leading to a young American man. Again, 1 out of 8 will have prostate cancer, and the age group is getting lower and lower every year.
Wow. Well, yeah, make sure you go get checked. I'll leave
Hmm.
like some links in the description here that maybe people can get some info about it and make sure that they are staying on top of it. That's good information for me too. I'm almost 40 here, so I got to stay on
Yeah,
top of that stuff. So, yeah, yeah, age creeps up on you. So, well, thanks, Vic, for sharing all that information.
yeah.
That means a lot. So, let's talk a little bit about those Broncos team, huh? 1-1 to start the year. A lot of hype coming into this season. What have you learned about this team through 2 weeks?
Inconsistency, obviously, and I think the inconsistency have we witnessed on the defensive side. Week one, they rescued the Broncos, right? Week one, if you think about it, how many opportunities did they give Tennessee to win that game? Tennessee's not good enough to win it, but defensively they were so stout, so good, so stingy that they wouldn't give them the opportunity. Now you go to Indy and suddenly the defense isn't the same. So I'd like to see more consistency defensively. On the offensive side, you saw them get better. And you're going to see that throughout the course of the season. There's no more preseason opportunities in the NFL. Those 3 preseason games they have are essentially fake. They're not the real deal. So you
Mhm.
need a regular season to get your offense going. And I think the best of the offense is yet to come. It's the defense suddenly after week 2 that concerns me a little more than the offense, which is the inverse after the first week.
Yeah, that was weird. It seemed like the Colts like really targeted PS2, which no team does that. And the pass rush wasn't getting home to Daniel Jones there. It just looked like a completely different defense out there.
It just goes to
It's-
prove the secondary's best friend is a pass rush. I don't care who you are. I don't care what kind of defensive back you are. If your guys up front aren't getting to the quarterback, life is going to be hard for you. Even PS2. And it's not like he played horribly. He was blanketing these guys. They just
yeah,
managed to catch the ball. He was all over 'em. He wasn't beaten. He was there step for step. Every
yeah.
single play, he was like, well, there's PS2. They just managed to get the ball. The problem is, if you're not getting to the quarterback, Phil, that quarterback has time. And with time, he has precision. And those precision passes are very tough to stop in the National Football League.
Yeah, open means like this in the NFL,
Exactly
I
right.
guess. Yeah.
Yes.
The offense did get much better. It looked like Bo was really humming there in that first half, but then had the late interception. What have you seen in terms of his development year 2 here? Has he shown that maybe in some areas he's taken that step?
Yeah. You know, he's obviously running the offense like he knows the offense. But I think even he'll tell you this when it's all said and done. Think less. It's like when you're playing golf and you're in a struggle bus because you're thinking about your swing and you're paralyzed by those thoughts. It looks like sometimes he's thinking too much. When, again, I'd rather see him on 3rd and 3. Run. There's guys run. Just get
Yeah.
what they give you. Go get it. Go get the first down. And I think sometimes to acquiesce the playbook and the coach and the offense, he's going through those motions of running the offense properly, which is fine, but sometimes it calls for ad libbing. And I think he's gotten away from a lot of that ad libbing when sometimes in that indie game, I saw some lanes, I saw some pockets open up. Just go and take advantage of what the defense gives you.
Is part of that maybe like some expectations on Bo? Like all offseason we heard so much hype about this team, and he's starting to feel a little bit of that pressure out there. You think like he's like, I better do this the right way, otherwise like we're not going to be able to do what we want to do.
Well, the beauty of Bo Nix is he is his own worst critic. He's a perfectionist. You can tell he's of that ilk, and that's why he's going to be a franchise quarterback because he's made that way, and I love it. I love everything about it. And I think sometimes he wants to do right by Sean Payton, and Sean Payton has let it be known that he doesn't want people to come off script. You know, you can at times, but here's the offense, run it. And in the National Football League, coming off script is essential to win games because the script doesn't always work. And that script may say one thing, the results are another. So I think there's a comfortable medium where both have to meet, and we'll see that. I mean, when they were humming last year, you could tell they were confident. I want to see them have fun. Have fun,
Yeah.
smile out there. When you're having fun, you're smiling, you're talking trash to the opposition. That's when you know it's clicking. And I haven't seen that really yet. There's moments, but I haven't seen it in totality.
Yeah, you look at like the best quarterbacks in the league right now: Josh Allen,
Mhm.
Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes. They're running around, and it does look like they're having a little bit of fun out there. So,
Yeah.
yeah, you got to play that way a little bit. You probably know this better than anybody else, but this fan base. You've seen the great quarterbacks come through town here. How do you think Bo has embraced playing quarterback in Denver?
Magnificently. He's done everything right. He's not overly obnoxious. He's not out going bar hopping. He's a happily married man. He attends other sporting events. I've seen him at Nuggets games. He goes to other venues. He makes it known that this is his community. He bought a house. He settled down. So you can't ask for anything more than that. And he's committed to his craft. He works at it. You could tell the work he puts in. So I think Bo is the consummate franchise quarterback. If that's the guy, and he wants to be the guy for the next 10 years or so, he's doing everything right so far. He's got the right role models. I'm sure he's talked to Peyton Manning about it. He's had discussions with Drew Brees about it. if you want to be the quarterback, you got to act like the quarterback, and he's acting like one.
Yeah, it's so cool that Peyton, is just right down the road from
Sure.
him. He's able to rely on him like that. Why do you think so many former Broncos players stick in Denver after they're done playing? It seems like so many like to live in this area.
Yeah.
Jake Plummer's up in Boulder. What do you think it is about Denver that these guys come from everywhere, but they end up sticking here?
I mean, what's not to like? I think the
Yeah,
weather, number one, is the biggest appeal. The summers in Denver, Colorado. I challenge you to find another place to live that matches our summers. So that's
yep,
one. Number two is, you meet good people. You want to hang around good people. I'm born and raised in Denver. It's all I know. I couldn't fathom living anywhere else until perhaps later in life when I want more warmth. So it doesn't surprise me one bit when people come here and stay here, especially those who, I'm in the Midwest right now. I'm in Rochester, Minnesota, and it's a pleasant town, great people. But my God, it's humid. Holy
yeah,
crap, I can't stand the humidity. And the bugs are the size of this cup. And
yeah,
I think I had a bug landed in my mouth. I almost choked. So there are certain things that we take for granted, Phil, living in Denver, that other people are like, whoa. So that's why. There's a
yeah.
lot of reasons, but that's a big reason.
Yeah, some pretty good golfing too. I think has
Hmm.
has to do with it. So yeah. Um, so coming up this week, Broncos have the Chargers. The interesting thing about this matchup to me is the coaches. Some big personalities here in Jim Harbaugh, Sean Payton. What do you think about these two going head to head?
Ironically, both coaches that this current ownership group wanted
Yeah.
to hire. Harbaugh was a candidate for the job before Sean Payton got the job. Uh, Harbaugh, I believe his overall record against Payton is either 5-1 or 6-1, so he's got the best of Sean Payton. And whatever Harbaugh does, you can quibble here and there about his methods. He wins, man, at every level. He wins. He figures it out. I'll say this about this game. It's huge for the Denver Broncos. If you win in LA against the Chargers and you win a division game this early against a team that is undefeated so far, you almost erase what happened last week in Indy. I will tolerate that loss in Indy the way it went down if you win a division matchup against the Chargers on the road. I'll take that every single day. You give me one for the other, I'll take it. Winning LA versus a loss in Indy, sign me up.
Yeah, most definitely. This does feel like a huge game, though, Vic, just because the Broncos, like you mentioned, inconsistent the first 2 weeks, but also like it does feel like this team has yet to win a big game. Like they've not like beaten a team that has a winning record, like dating back to last year. I mean,
Yeah.
like I think the Bucks were the only team that finished with a winning record that the Broncos beat last year. So like it
Well,
does feel like they need to go out and do something like this, right?
you're right, and it falls at the same point in the schedule, right? Nobody believed that the Broncos were going to go to Tampa and win that game. Not only did they win that game, they won it going away, and they looked dominant. I mean, they
Yeah.
made them look silly, right? And it gave them a boost of confidence. Oh, wow, this is what they can do. This is what Bo can do. I think it's the same setup this week. Listen, no, the, they lose. They're 1-2. They're behind the eight ball. They're climbing uphill. All right, and the rest of the schedule is not friendly. So
Yeah.
they're climbing up. You win, you lead the division. You are leading the AFC West for the first time since when? Since
Yeah.
2015? I mean,
Yeah.
how long has it been? It's been 10 years since the Denver Broncos have led the AFC West. They have a chance to lead the division for the first time in a decade.
Yeah.
That's a huge gain if they can get that done this weekend.
Yeah, and especially the way the Chargers have been playing, they've come out of the gate firing. Justin Herbert looks really good. Uh,
Phil, I found a photo that popped up of the last time the Denver Broncos won at Arrowhead
oh
was
yeah,
2015. And I looked at that photo and it's been so long. I had dark brown hair.
yeah. I saw you post that photo. Yeah,
Yeah,
I was like, who is that?
exactly.
um, does it feel like the AFC West is up for grabs?
100%. I said it before the season. I sort of had an inkling before the season. I think this division is gettable. I don't think the Chiefs are the juggernaut they have been. It's only a matter of time before they come back to the pack. And I think it's happening before our very eyes. If there's ever an opportunity to steal a division, this is the year. And you got to beat the team that outside of KC, it's the Chargers. The Chargers right now are in the catbird seat. You knock them out in week 3 at their place, man, that's wide open now. I love the Broncos' chances if they can win this game. You're so right, though. Win a game you're not supposed to win. They
Yeah.
haven't done many of those. Here's an opportunity to do exactly that.
Yeah. It's a team that beat the Broncos twice last year too.
Sure.
So yeah, maybe you could prove some of the naysayers wrong here. I did want to ask you a little bit about your career too, here, Vic. I think most of us grew up watching you on CBS. Now you're with Altitude. How did you know that was the right time for you to make a switch?
There are a lot of clues that came along. I think the biggest is I was almost getting bored with my
Mhm.
job because you do something long enough and it becomes a little too predictable. So the predictability of it, but I think the one that put me over the top was I came home one night, and this was 10 years ago. Came home and I was at dinner in between newscasts, and I told my son, who at the time was in high school, I said, "Hey, you got to watch the 10 o'clock sportscast tonight. Wait till you see this dunk I'm going to show." And he pulls out his phone and says, "You mean this one?" He already had seen it like 5 times on YouTube. And
Yeah.
I go, "Well, what the hell am I doing? What good?" And it just sort of, it just hit me. I was like, the internet and social media, it's taking the responsibility of a local sportscaster, and it's too easy not to have to watch. It used to be
Mhm.
appointment television. When I grew up in this market, you wanted scores, you wanted Bronco results, you wanted highlights, you wanted the intel. You had to watch. There was
Mhm.
nowhere else to get it. Today's generation, they can get it 1,000 different places before 10:18 hits. At 10:18 p.m., when you're delivering the news or the sports, they've gotten the information already. You have to give them something entirely different. So, and that's where the industry is. I almost I feel bad for everybody that's entering the business now because
Mhm.
I don't know what the intent is. I don't know what the model is. When I was getting into it, it was deliver the news. Do
Yeah.
do it in a entertaining, informative way. Well, the news has already been delivered by the time you're
Yeah.
on the air. So what do you do? I don't
Yeah.
have the answer.
Oh, it seems like you, unlike many others, have really embraced that. Like you're always sort of trying different things. Like I remember seeing you in the locker room with a selfie stick and doing things
Yeah.
differently. What do you think it is about you that you're always willing to accept what's new coming through and embracing it and finding a way? How can I use this to communicate?
It's I got on the whole Twitter wagon early, and my kids got me on Instagram, and I'm not very good at TikTok and all that other stuff, but I try. I
Yeah.
like to edit my own stuff. I really do. I use that little CapCut editing mechanism. I try because I like to feeling young again by getting
Yep.
involved in this stuff and not being afraid to go back to your roots. There was a day when I was a young, aspiring local sportscaster, 21, 22 years old, and I had to do it all. I had to shoot it, I had to edit it, I had to write it. You had to do it all. And going back to those roots sort of feels invigorating. And that's what it's like. Somebody I tell kids today that want to get into business, anybody can be a sportscaster. You got one in your hand, you got a whole network in your hand. You can go
Yeah.
out and shoot something, edit something, commentate on something. You can do it all by yourself today. Where in years past you needed a full assemblage of people to help you pull that off. So I don't know. I just think it's refreshing to try new things. And I learn so much from young people. In
Mhm.
this business, it's funny, you're taught learn from the elders, learn from those who came before you. I think it's almost the exact opposite now. I'm
Yeah.
56 years old. I'm doing more learning from people half my age.
Yeah.
They're the one
Yeah.
teaching.
Yeah.
They're teaching me. So I love that.
Yeah, yeah. And through the years, how did you develop your style? Because I think you have a unique ability, at least from my perspective, Vic, is like you're very entertaining, but it never feels forced. And I
Yeah,
think back to like remember when Flacco's billboard was up on the stadium, like
sure,
his and
sure.
you went down to 16th Street Mall, like that was memorable. Even
Almost
last
got
year,
arrested.
yep, yep. Like last year when Jokic hit that 3-quarter shot, you were in the gym the next day
Yeah.
throwing those balls. How did you develop that, or like figure out a way like, yeah, I got to tell this, but in a different way?
You know, um, I'm asked that because people think, well, you must sit there and concoct. I go, it's really not that. I just try to be me, Phil.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Ron Zapolo told me this a long time ago. I was maybe 20 years old. And I remember sitting in Ron's office and I wanted to be like Ron. I wanted to be like, and he said, the one thing about this business is you've got to be yourself.
Hmm.
And who am I? I'm a guy who doesn't take life too seriously, who likes to have fun. The reason I got into sports is to have fun. I could never make that transition to news like a lot of my contemporaries went into newscasting. I couldn't do that.
Yeah.
I'm just not serious enough to do that. So having fun is what it's all about for me. Sports is leisure. Sports is a way to get away from all this crap. You know, I don't know where I'd be right now. Here I am in the middle of a radiation period, and if I didn't have my radio show, if I didn't have the capacity to watch games and comment, I'd go crazy.
Yeah.
This is what we need. It's an outlet for us. So when I do stuff, some might consider it crazy or weird. It's just stuff that I would do with my brothers at home, my family. Like,
Yeah.
if I joke around with my brothers, I would pull the same joke on the air. Now, half
Yeah.
the stuff I can't say because when I'm with my brothers, we get a little raunchy, but it's the same sense of humor, Phil.
Yeah.
It's the exact same sense of humor. We mess with each other, we have fun. It's nothing different than I do at home.
Yeah. Yeah. And last one, just about your career here, working with the Nuggets and at altitude now. Do you think that the Nuggets, with the success that they've had and their growing popularity and the star power with Jokic and all the guys, do you think they'll ever get will this town ever be a Nuggets town more so than a Broncos town? Do you think?
That's a tough one because football is ingrained in America, right? In most football cities, football is the go-to. Maybe there are four or five where it's not. It's just it's always been a football town.
Mm,
Born and raised here, the Broncos first. The Broncos were the first to a championship, first to a Super Bowl, I should say. They didn't win it before the Avs were the first to a championship.
yeah.
But the Broncos were ingrained in our minds, in our culture for a long time. However, basketball is just a different culture. It's a different sport. It's more universal. Basketball is worldwide. And there are as many Nuggets fans, hell, in Serbia as there are here. You
Yeah.
can't say the same for the Broncos. The Broncos are Denver. The Broncos, yeah, there are Bronco fans all over the world, but not like there are Nuggets fans all over the world. That's the one thing that hits me is when I travel. I was in Italy this summer, and I'm renting a Vespa, and this kid found out I worked with the Nuggets. I was wearing a Nuggets shirt. He went crazy because he's like a huge Nuggets fan. I said, "Wow, in Sorrento, Italy, it's not the same for
Amazing.
football because they're not football fans there, but they're
Yeah.
basketball fans because basketball is a universal sport." So
Yeah.
my answer would be the Nuggets may never be the top dog here,
Hmm.
but they had a huge fan base outside of Denver, bigger than people think.
Yeah, yeah, most definitely. That's a good perspective there. Okay, I like to wrap up here with just five sort of quick questions. It's
Mm-hmm.
called Phil's Five here. Um, what is your favorite away stadium in the NFL?
Oh man, I've been to all of them, and SoFi is phenomenal. Allegiant is pretty damn cool to see. I Arrowhead is the coldest place on earth. Every time I go to Arrowhead, I freeze my tail off over there. But I guess if you were to pick one conventional road stadium, they've all changed. They've all become different. The old Three Rivers was crazy, and now it's like really nice. God, that's a tough question. They're too new. Jerry World is pretty sweet. I got to
Yeah,
say, Jerry World is a pretty cool venue because they have those suites at the bottom where you can drive in. People drive in and they're in the sweet box right there.
yeah,
So I would say of the newest stadiums, Jerry World is the one that made me go whoa more than any other.
yeah. That was like the
Yeah,
first one to have that giant
yeah,
jumbotron,
yeah.
and everybody's sort of copying that now. Yeah. Okay, what's your favorite team away from work? What's your favorite team to just watch and you're just a fan?
Notre Dame football.
Yeah.
Notre Dame football. I mean, being a member of the Notre Dame alumni, it's you live and die by it. I don't really like I don't like tweeting about Notre Dame football because I end up getting in arguments with people on Twitter. Everybody hates Notre Dame, so I like to just enjoy the game. Sometimes I have to watch myself, but that's my go-to when it no, I work in Denver, Colorado. You're not going to cover Notre Dame football like you are going to be the CU, CSU, and all that. So
Yeah.
that's my joy factor right there.
You commiserate with Ryan Harris a little bit?
All the time. Domers always stick together. You know that.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. Okay. What's the your favorite part about your job?
Every day is different. You get to create. I think the thing I love about our business is the creativity comes with it, and creative people need those outlets. Again, I've always thought, I talked to my wife about it. When is it going to be enough? When am I going to walk away? And what the hell would I do? I would go crazy. I
Yeah.
have to be able to create something, and that's the part about this job. Whether you're writing, whether you're talking, whether you're producing something on social media, the creative aspect of it is, I think,
Mhm.
the juice that drives me. I love nothing more than creating something that people are going to watch and getting their reaction on what they see. It's not about the subject matter. Like interviewing somebody very famous doesn't hit me as much as putting something together that I think is really cool and seeing how people react to it. That's the part I love most.
Yeah. And social media has made that so much more. It's like instant, so
You know what
it's
social
awesome.
media has done? It's shown me, Phil, there are so many creative people in this world, so many
Yeah.
that never had the opportunity to show their creativity, to put it on display because there was never a platform for them.
Yeah.
I've been blessed. I've had a platform for 30 years. People in the
Yeah.
last 15 years now have their own platforms, and you can see how creative people really are.
Yeah, that is a fun part of it. That's a fun part about it. Did you have a moment when you were younger where you knew this is what you were going to do? Like, did something happen where you're like, okay, this gives me some life here?
Oh, I knew when I was 12 years old that I was going to be a sportscaster. I just didn't know if I would get there, but I know that's what I wanted to do. And I told myself I was in eighth grade. I was at Holy Family Grade School, and I loved sports. I played sports, but it hit me as I was about to go to high school that year. It was between my eighth grade and ninth grade year, and I saw how big the high school athletes were. I go, I ain't gonna play sports for a living. Look at me. Look at my body. Look at me. But I love talking about sports. I was infatuated with it. It actually helped me assimilate to this culture because I grew up speaking Italian, Phil, and,
Mhm.
and I learned how to speak English through sports. I really did when I was a little kid. And I said, I am going to be a sportscaster, and I'm going to do it in Denver. And I told myself that. I told anybody that would listen, I'm going to do that. And um, thank God, blessings, that goal was realized many, many years later. And that's all I ever wanted to do.
That's amazing. That's awesome. That's so much joy in that. Just knowing, hey, you got this goal and you worked so hard to
Sure.
get there. Okay, and then the last one for you is: at the end of the day, what's your favorite way to de-stress? Like, do you watch a show or movie guy, or how do you unwind at the end of a long day?
I love to work out.
Hmm.
And people work out for different reasons. I work out for therapy. I love to go for runs. I love to ride my bike. I love to play basketball. I love to play golf. I just think there's nothing better than, sounds crazy, but torturing your body puts you in a zen, puts you in a place where when you're done with the torture, when you're done with the whatever the hell you do, you just feel like, okay, I've accomplished something and I've reset my brain. I've reset my
Yeah.
mind. My body helped reset my mind. And that's why I work out. I I don't do it for the narcissistic nature of working out. I do it for mental therapy. It is all mental for me. I feel so much better. And when I don't work out, if I have a day where I can't get any cardio or the gym, I feel like crap. I feel like
Mm.
total crap. And it's the weirdest thing, but I know there's a lot of people that can really appeal to that.
Yeah. You like listening to music or like podcasts or just
Oh
quiet
yeah,
or what?
100%
Yeah.
music, 100%.
Okay.
I,
Yeah.
you know, I got a weird playlist. I got a little bit of everything, Phil. I got
Okay.
everything. I got music that makes you cry, but if I really want to hit it hard, I play some house dance electrical music on there that I
Yeah.
stole from my son and my daughter. I don't even know what EDM is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Whatever the
Yep.
hell it is. That gets me going.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. I love it. I love it. Well, Vic, thank you so much for your time. I really enjoyed catching up here with you, and I think that a lot of people watching enjoy, getting to know you, a different side of you, maybe a little bit here, and also appreciate the Broncos talk too. So,
Phil, thank you very much for the forum. I really do appreciate it. I'm proud of you, my man. I'm proud of all my former interns of what you've done, and good wishes here on up. And remember, for those watching, go get checked, go get a
Yeah.
physical, because you never know. It could be around the corner. I don't know how many people are going to watch this podcast, but 1 out of 8 men, 1 out of 8, become symptomatic with prostate cancer. So go get checked out.
Yeah, thanks for that, Vic, and
No
thanks for
problem.
being so open about talking about your own situation, and hopefully it helps someone else out there. So
Thanks, buddy.
best wishes with your health and your recovery here, and I hope all is good moving forward.
Sounds good. Thanks, man.
My thanks to Vic Lombardi for spending some time on the show. That conversation really meant a lot to me, just because he is a mentor of mine. He's somebody I've looked up to for a really long time. And he's somebody that I can always just pick up the phone and call and say, hey, I got a question about this. What should I do with this? What do you think is best for this? He's just always somebody who's been there, and I really appreciate him. And obviously, his perspective on all things Denver sports is really valuable. So him talking about Bo Nix settling in and being the quarterback here, and what he thinks just about his perspective on all things involving Denver sports and the Broncos really does carry a lot of weight. So I enjoyed that conversation. And I did intern for Vic at CBS my junior and senior year. I just remember one time I went out on a shoot with Vic, and we were doing a story. I think it was around Memorial Day about something. It was at Wash Park, and it was something. I don't remember the exact story, but I remember we did interviews and we shot B-roll there with a photographer, and then we got back to the station, and Vic was like, "Okay, you work and put together your own story for this. I'll put together my story, and then we'll compare it." I said, "Okay, let's do that." So I just started working on my story, and Vic came over with his script and was like, "What do you think about this?" He had written the entire story already, and I remember driving home after my shift that day as an intern, driving back up to Boulder, thinking like, "Oh my gosh, I've got to work harder. I've got to get better at this. I've got to improve my speed, and like I've just got a lot of work to do here." It was a formative just moment during my time there where I was like, "Oh my gosh, I got to get to work here. I got to work harder to be able to just build this speed up here and quality." So that was just a really important moment, there. So I just really enjoyed my time interning for him. So many good people at CBS4 here in Denver. The producers, the photographers, they're all still close friends of mine. So really, just like a great time in my life, but then also really building valuable relationships that still last today means so much to me. And that's why just chatting with Vic here for half an hour meant so much. So really appreciative of him coming on and talking. And also, just all of his being so vulnerable and talking about his experience and his treatment with prostate cancer. I think that if you could just help one person who watched this say, hey, you know what, I better get checked out. I'm 40. Maybe I thought I was too young, but turns out that I need to go get a test. I think that that goes a long way. You literally could save someone's life doing that. So I appreciate Vic being so open and talking about that. And, I think that that PSA test, that's really changed a lot, where you're not having to do that old prostate test. And now you can just get your blood work done and find out what's going on with yourself. It makes it a little bit maybe more accessible to some people who are hesitant to go out and get tested. Hey, there's nothing, don't waste time. Don't try to neglect things. I think that almost everybody has been affected by cancer in one way or another, whether you personally or somebody a loved one, close friend. I certainly have. So, it's important to make sure that you don't ignore things. Make sure you get tested and go out and do it and stay on top of these things. It can be scary, but it's important to go out and make sure you get tested. So I appreciate Vic talking about that. Let's talk about this Broncos matchup because this is big to me. First 2 weeks of the season, inconsistent, I think, I think that's what Vic said, and I agree there, where 1 week the offense is looking amazing. the offense are really struggling against the Titans, and then the defense is what's really carrying the team. Then the next week, almost the exact opposite, and they're playing a better team in the Colts, and they lose that one on the road. So I think that heading into the season, you are thinking, okay, if this team wants to take a step, we'll learn pretty quickly here with this first real challenge with the Chargers, is what we were thinking. Turns out the Colts are a much better team than we anticipated. But now you're getting into a part of the schedule where this is a big time test. This is a team that beat the Broncos twice last year. This is a team that's awfully hot to start the season. And they've already played. This is going to be their third division game. For week 1, they beat the Chiefs. Week 2, they beat the Raiders. And now they're facing the Broncos. So they're looking to go 3-0 in division. So that even adds more importance here on this game. Justin Herbert has got off to a hot start. He's maybe an early MVP type of candidate here. So the Broncos defense in for another test. The Chargers haven't really run the ball very much, but we've seen some bursts from Omari and Hampton. Najee Harris is there. So they're clearly capable of running the football. Jim Harbaugh, that's what he wants to do. And their defense has been playing lights out. So you're on the road for the Broncos. This is going to be a tough test. I'll say that. And for the Broncos, talking this offseason about, hey, we want to win the division. We want to win a playoff game. We think we belong in a Super Bowl type of conversation. They haven't looked like that the first 2 weeks. Okay, I'll just say that. Bo Nix looked a lot better against the Colts, but he did have that costly interception late in the game. And so he's still got some stuff to prove that he's taken this next step. And the defense wants to bounce back after that game last week against the Colts. So, hey, this is going to be an enormous test. Justin Herbert, he could let that thing rip. He could put the ball anywhere on the field, and he could really use his legs. And so this is going to be a big test for the Broncos. And you know what? Based off of how they've played the first 2 weeks, I think right now I will have to take the Chargers in this one. I think they're 2.5-point favorites. And, you know, I think I'm going to take the Chargers, but I wouldn't be surprised if, kind of like Vic said, they treat this game kind of like that Tampa game last year, where maybe people are starting to have some concerns over the Broncos. They'll go on the road. They're facing a good team, and why not have this be the time where things all click and this team can really get focused? And sometimes that's what you need. Sometimes what you need is you got to be on the road and you got to face some adversity, have some of those concerns starting to creep in. That's when a team can really come together and reverse the mentality. Because maybe those first 2 weeks, a little bit different mentality for the Broncos, because there's some expectation there. You're supposed to win these games. You're supposed to be this better team. Going out there and playing like that is a little different than being on the road, being an underdog, having people doubting you. Maybe the Broncos needed this to just kind of get back into that frame of mind that was so successful last year. So who knows? Maybe I'm wrong, but include me in that group of people who are starting to say, let's see, this team hasn't started the way I thought that it was going to start. I'll say that. And I won't say I have concerns, because I thought Vic brought up a good point. The preseason just isn't what the preseason used to be. Training camp is not as hard as it used to be. And the preseason, you're really not playing much out there. So you expect teams to kind of go through some little bit of growing pains those first 2 weeks. One team that hasn't gone through those growing pains is the Chargers. So you're sort of saying, look, yeah, you got to work through some pains here, but now they're running into a team that's just humming already. So I just think that this is a tough test. And I think that the Chargers, they beat them twice last year. Maybe they're just a tough matchup for the Broncos. Whatever it is, this is going to be tough. You know, Lad McConkey, another year here, Keenan Allen back with the Chargers, having a good start to the season. So I just think that this Chargers team, people were sleeping on them a little bit at the beginning of the year, and they've really woken up some people's and changed some minds here through the first 2 weeks. So now you're hearing Justin Herbert in some of these conversations with Josh Allen, with Patrick Mahomes, with Lamar Jackson. Now he's being included after how he started the season. So um, this is going to be a good test. This is going to be a good test, and maybe this is what the Broncos need. And maybe it's the kind of a situation where things click and boom, now you're off running and humming. But it could go the other way too. So we'll have to see. I mean, I don't like to be that guy who brings up all the concerns, be a hater, but I do think that this is going to be a tremendous test. No other way to say it. So they can go out there and prove everybody wrong and be like, hey, we need that chip in order to play how we want to play. But they could also go out there and it could be a rough day. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see how things play out. So once again, no bourbon review this week. Please let me know what you think, because I want to get back into that. But just nothing ready to go this week for you. But if you have a bottle that you'd like me to review, please leave it in a comment and let me know what you think. So with that, I'll sign off here. Really enjoyed once again my conversation with Vic Lombardi. I wanted to ask him that question about the Nuggets, because I do think that the Nuggets have made a significant dent into the Broncos' foothold here, just because up until last year, the Broncos had gone through a lot of ups and downs for the last 10 years, and that's coincided with the Nuggets winning a championship, being among one of the elite teams in the NBA, and also having some significant star power, with Jokic winning MVPs, with Jamal Murray and Aaron Gordon, and they've just got some really likable players from a fan's perspective. So I do think that the Nuggets have really done some stuff here. So I think that it'll always be a Broncos town, and I think like you could just tell like the way like Bo comes in and really takes over the town. I think that does speak a lot to just this is a Broncos town, and I think that when the Broncos are really good, there's nothing like it. The excitement. I'll tell you another story here. Last week before the game, I took my family to the zoo, and I hadn't done that in a really long time on a game day. Really my entire life, right? Like I've always been, either at the game or at the facility doing stuff, working, right? And so I've never really just been like out and about the morning of a game day, and walking around the zoo, seeing so much orange, so many Broncos jerseys, so many Broncos t-shirts. It did remind me like, hey, this is a Broncos town. You know what I mean? Like this, when the Broncos are good and there's expectations and people are excited about the Broncos, you see fans come out like that, and there's orange everywhere, and there's a buzz in this city. And I'm not quite sure if anything could ever match that, no matter how good some of these other teams are. It's just sort of ingrained in Denver. Let me know what you think about that. I think that that's just sort of an interesting topic. So please let me know what you think. And also, please like and subscribe as we continue to grow the Broncos and Bourbon channel. So with that, thanks again to Vic Lombardi, a mentor of mine, for spending some time here and chatting on the show. Okay, that's going to do it for us. For Broncos and Bourbon, I'm Phil Milani.